welcome back to another explainer. Okay, let's dive into this. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating entry from the Notes on Fishkeeping series. It bridges the everyday aquarium hobby with the, honestly, incredibly slow and rigorous world of scientific taxonomy. We're looking at part 251 by an author named Ang, and it's all about a fish practically every single one of us knows, the pleco. But as you're going to see, the story behind these bottom dwellers is wild. We're going to debunk a massive widespread myth and then unravel this brilliant naming paradox that the aquarium trade literally had to invent just to keep up with the sheer pace of aquatic discovery. So, let's start exactly where the source material begins, with a question almost every aquarist has wrestled with at some point. Are plecos really your tank's cleanup crew? You know, it's a piece of advice that gets passed around the hobby like absolute gospel, especially to beginners setting up their very first aquarium. You're told, hey, just get a pleco. It's essentially an automated cleaning service for like $5. But as the author points out right out of the gate in their notes, this is a massive, massive misconception. See, the expectation is that you're buying this helpful, tireless little janitor, right? One that's meant to eat up all the waste and keep your glass perfectly sparkling. Well, the reality is literally the exact opposite. Plecos are incredibly heavy feeders, and because they're constantly consuming so much, they are actually producing a huge amount of waste. In fact, Avenant notes they often produce even more waste than your average fish. So instead of reducing the biological load in your pristine, beautiful aquarium, adding a pleco can actually skyrocket it. Now, you might be wondering, why does this myth even persist? Well, it all comes down to their anatomy and their behavior. Plecos possess what are known as ventral mouths, meaning their mouths are located underneath their bodies, which is perfectly positioned for moving right along the floor of the tank. If you sit and watch a pleco, they spend practically all day long attached to the glass or just vacuuming the substrate. To the untrained eye, this nonstop scavenging looks exactly like they're cleaning the tank. They look like little aquatic Roombas. But the source clarifies that this isn't a cleaning service at all. It's just nonstop eating. They aren't cleaning up the waste, they're hunting for food, and then, you guessed it, making way more waste in the process. So if they're such heavy waste producers, why are they so wildly popular? Well, some of these varieties are simply breathtaking, and this brilliantly illustrates why they are such a prized tank addition. The author highlights one specific variety that really caught their eye, the Royal Pleco. And man, it is so easy to see the appeal here. You've got this stunning gold coloration contrasting so sharply with striking black stripes. Combine that super vivid pattern with an impressive standout size, and it's no longer just a janitor. It's a showpiece. It really becomes a true centerpiece in absolutely any take. To figure out exactly what kind of Royal Pleco they were looking at, the author actually used AI for identification. Kind of a neat modern twist, right? The AI narrowed it down to two highly probable scientific classifications, panaque-armbrusteri or panaque-nigrolineatus. But look closely at the other identifiers the AI spit out, L027 and L190. In the world of fish keeping, these weird alphanumeric codes are incredibly common when you're talking about plecos. Which totally brings us to a curious question. Why do these beautiful, organic, tropical fish sound like droids from a sci-fi movie? I mean, really, why are we relying on codes like L027 or L190 instead of standard descriptive common names or even just traditional scientific names? Well, this naming quirk actually reveals a fascinating kind of hidden drama going on within the scientific community. So the crucial point is that the L actually just stands for Loricariidae. That is simply the formal scientific taxonomic family name for all armored catfish, which of course includes plecos. So whenever you see an L followed by a number, it's really just a shorthand way of identifying the family. But, that still doesn't exactly explain why we need the numbers in the first place, right? The answer actually lies in a massive bottleneck. The core problem here is that the discovery of new plecos severely, and I mean severely, outpaces the formal scientific naming process. Explorers and collectors are out there finding new variations in the rivers of South America all the time. But formally describing and naming a species in the scientific community, that is an incredibly rigorous process. We're talking peer review, highly detailed anatomical comparisons, publishing formal papers. According to the source, this process can literally take years for just one single fish. Let's move to and see how this builds into an ingenious taxonomic workaround created by the aquarium trade. Because the trade simply cannot wait years to buy, sell, and swap a newly discovered fish, they had to invent a solution. When a new species is discovered, usually standing out because it has a totally unique look or was found in a very specific location, it completely bypasses the wait for a Latin name. Instead, it gets immediately assigned a sequential L number specifically for the trade. It then circulates in the hobby under that L number, while years and years pass waiting for the formal scientific naming to eventually catch up. The L number system is essentially this globally recognized set of temporary numerical placeholders. It is an entire parallel taxonomy created purely out of necessity. Every single time a new fish with a specific look or from a new location is found, it just gets the next number in the sequence, L027, L028, all the way up into the hundreds. It's a completely brilliant, super pragmatic system that keeps the hobbyist trade functioning smoothly, all while science takes the time it needs to do things right. It really makes you step back and appreciate the sheer vastness of our aquatic ecosystems, doesn't it? We are literally finding things faster than we can even write down their names. So I want to leave you with a thought that really echoes the author's own fascination here. With the discovery of new species continually outpacing science, what beautiful, completely undiscovered L number is swimming out there right now, just waiting to be found? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep your curiosity alive.